This is the Impressions Exchange Podcast.
Impressions Exchange Podcast.
Where all topics impacting the graphic imaging and printing industry are addressed via in-depth news coverage, analysis, and timely interviews.
Hi, I'm Denise Gustafson, Editorial Director for Printing United Alliance, and the guest host for the special Printing Impressions podcast series in celebration of Women's History Month, highlighting women in the printing industry. During this series, I'll have the opportunity to talk with women from all segments of the industry about their experiences and their journey as a woman in the industry. Today, it is my pleasure to welcome Amy Kunzman. She's Manager of Account Management for Meyers. So Amy, welcome.
Hi, it's nice to be here today. Thank you.
You are very welcome. So I have to ask, what does a Manager of Account Management do?
So I work with a team of 14 account managers who provide a customer service. They work with customers. They take care of pretty much anything they need with their work here with us at Meyers. They provide a lot of customer service, project management. They try to understand the account at a higher account level and really be that advocate for that customer here at Meyers.
That makes perfect sense now, but when I read it first, I'm like, what exactly does that mean? I wasn't sure. How did you get started in the printing industry? Some people fall into it. Some people, they have printing ink in their blood. So for you, is it a combination of both?
It is a combination of, well, it's not in my blood, but it is a combination of family ties and falling into it. I had just moved here. I'm not from Minnesota originally. I had just moved here, was engaged, newly engaged. My husband, who had the better job at the time, his job was kind of moving. And so we weren't sure where we were going to end up. So I was kind of pausing on what I was going to do next. I had an idea. I never went back to that because here I am 20 plus years later. Obviously that changed. But in the meantime, my now sister-in-law has been here longer at Meyers, longer than I have been. And she said, hey, why don't you come? We're really busy right now. We could really use some help getting some kits out for a large customer of ours. And it'd be great if you could just come, have something to do while you're looking around and figuring out next steps, and you'll earn some money or whatever. And I said, sure. So if you pull my application to come work for Meyers, I applied to be a temp. I showed up on my first day and they started talking about benefits, and I was out of school and I thought, oh, I'm not married yet. I'm no longer on my dad's insurance. I'll just keep my mouth shut. I don't expect to be here when the benefits kick in a few months, but I just won't say anything. They hired me full time and I've been here ever since, but I applied to be a temp.
So definitely not a temp anymore.
No. And so I actually worked in our hand finishing department, kitting and doing some hand bindery work the first year. And it was very different for me because I look back and I tell people that it was my most challenging year. I had just finished my master's degree and was looking at next things. And I'd always been kind of an academia kind of a world and research based. I'd never done anything with my hands. I'd never been in manufacturing before of anything. It was fascinating to me to be there and just to kind of look around, see how all of this that I had never been exposed to, how it worked. Mm-hmm. And I think I kept showing up just because every day it was like connecting new dots that I had never been exposed to at that point in my life, right? How manufacturing works, printing anything, right? The sales, the customer service, the estimating, the project management, the scheduling, the production of things, the pack out of things, the shipping, the accounting, all of it, how it worked together, how things were structured was just fascinating to me. How you could communicate via these job tickets and things, some things that would start off, I want this. How do all of these people know how to make this stuff to the point that it comes to me was just, it was such a learning year and I loved it. And I'd been here for several months at this point, and it was like, well, I think I need to either go get a real job, or I was still working in finishing. I need to go get a real job, or I needed to figure something out here. And about that time, a customer service role opened up and I applied. And so I moved here about the time I got married, and I've been here ever since. And I've just continued to learn and grow really ever since. So that's how I got started. I'm here because my sister-in-law suggested I come be a temp for a couple of weeks.
And you
So,
stayed.
and I stayed.
If you don't mind me asking, what was your degree in?
So my degree was in human development and family studies. Not so much like the daycare providing thing, but really it was the psychology and it was the research methods and the understanding things like identity development and how people, I was really into the research side of human development and young adulthood and how we came to know who we are and those kind of things. And so the funny thing is just that seems like it's a world apart. I think I use that degree every day just working with people, and especially now as a manager of people and working with customers and things, the psychology of how we are motivated or how we work together, the research methods part of looking at when we're trying to learn something new or have process improvements. I love it. I love it every day. I feel like I'm in something that seems completely unrelated to what I thought I wanted to do with my life. And I feel like in a very real hands-on way, I'm actually living it every day.
I'm thinking that it probably puts you at a distinct advantage because you understand people in a way that a lot of people don't.
At least I think about it. I mean, we're all always learning, right?
Yeah.
A lot of where we are as a culture now, 20 plus years later, is just so much farther along, right, in our thinking than where we were 20 plus years ago. So we're always learning, but just the mindset of keeping that in mind and really trying to understand, I think it helps with the account management and the customer service with customers and understanding their perspectives and what they need and where they come from and how to advocate. It helps being a manager, leading a team and leading people at different points in their journey. It helps. It's very helpful every day, actually. I feel like I'm thinking about the psychology of things, the research methods, the process improvements, the how are we looking at things, how are we working with one another every day in probably a much more applied way than I ever thought I would be. But it's very much what I've always enjoyed. So I think it's a good fit.
I think so too. It's not conventional, but it certainly is a good fit. Kind of along those lines, and with you working in a manufacturing field, something obviously that you were not planning on, and now with your background in human studies, how do you think women are being impacted by today's culture, today's society, more or less or differently than it was maybe 20 years ago?
Earlier in my career, even with that background and with that thinking, I was much younger. We were in a different place in society 20 years ago than we are now. Not that we're arrived or anything, it's a process, right? But I feel like we're making progress. So when I think back, when I started, as excited as I was to learn and to see something like this for the first time, it was so different that I think I probably was more quiet. Printing in general wasn't where it is today. People talk about imposter syndrome, right? And things like that. And I don't have imposter syndrome now. I know a lot of people that are in high levels that still do, but I did then. I felt like those first few years, I was performing at a high level really early on in my career, but I wasn't there. And I don't think that early on, I think there were probably instances of things that could have gone different, would have gone different today. But the biggest thing that I take from that is the difference from then to now is me. I did not do a good job early in my career speaking up for myself. I did not do a good job advocating for myself at times. I thought that it would only my performance itself would be enough, that I didn't need to speak up and communicate and say certain things or things that I thought I wanted or the way things needed to be. Looking back, I didn't feel confident being able to do that. And some of that was just me being young, and some of it was it being 20 years ago in our history and society. I'm so excited for women today, or any young people today, actually, but any women. I feel like I have a 20-year-old daughter. I look at new hires on my team that are coming that are younger and newer in their careers, and I'm very excited that most of them already come so much aware of the importance of networking, of mentors. They're much more aware of work-life balance. They're already starting careers this side of COVID, where we've learned so much about mental health and what do we really want and what's really important, and that you have to ask for what you want and ask for what's important. I'm not saying that there aren't still pockets of things out there of gender bias or things, but I am very excited by who I see in the up and coming, the younger professionals, and where they're starting and how they're so much further ahead, and they're in a society that's so much further ahead than what we were. And I'm very happy. Well, even for myself, right? LinkedIn, things that you don't get. If you didn't get it before, you could be very lonely. If you ended up in a place, some women were very lucky and very fortunate and ended up in a great place and had great support. And I've had a great time here at Meyers, but I feel like with less networking, with less social media, less collective awareness, you could be really lonely if you weren't in a place where you were fortunate enough to have that. And it would be harder. Now I think the younger generation has so much more awareness and so much more connectivity through social media, through LinkedIn, through the connections that they're making, that they're going to continue to get there a lot faster than some of us did.
Could it be possibly also that they are a little bit more authentic in themselves?
Yes.
They know who they are earlier?
Yes. They have parents that lived through that.
Mm-hmm.
They have parents that have encouraged them. They've grown up in most of them, even if they didn't have it when they were younger, but most of them have had most of their young adult life with having more connection. They're just at a different place, right? They're starting from a different place. And so all good things. And they still need mentors. They still need encouragement. They still need to gain confidence because they are still young. And I feel good. I had a few good mentors. I feel good that I can talk to people on my team. It's one of those things that there's more ways and more avenues of getting support, I think. Now, the world is a much more connected place and a much more aware place. There are things that still happen, that pockets of things. I've been to shows where if you're with someone that's a guy, that they get spoken to before you do. I get that, right? And I know other people have seen that, and you see that out there, you hear about it, but there's a lot more awareness, and it's a lot faster to be called out now than it would have been 20 years ago, 10 years ago. It's addressed much differently now than it would have been before.
And I honestly think that's one of the bigger differences too, is people will now say something about it.
Yes.
Whereas even 10 years ago, they may not have.
Right.
It is a very, very different place. Now, as for you mentioned that you've had some good role models. How
Yes.
important was it for you to have those as you were coming up through the different stages in your career?
I had women that were all around me that were so smart. They knew so much. I talked about how I came into printing and how I really, just the learning from ground zero and not knowing anything about. I was very fortunate that I had some very smart women in production, in die cutting, in shipping, that in all areas of production. I had a job planner that I worked very closely with that taught me so much. She was so smart. She had been in production. She had run a press. She had been in sales. She had done job planning. She had done just about everything for almost any type of printing that you could imagine. And for some reason, she took a liking to me, lucky for me, and really taught me so much and had so much perspective, and had several years into the industry. And so it was fantastic to have that. I had sales reps that I worked with that were so smart and so good at what they did, and in working with their customers and in standing up and getting what they needed here, because printing is hard. There's always priorities and deadlines, and they were very good at advocating for themselves and their customers and getting what they needed, and they knew. And so all of those women around you, and men too, there were very smart people around me, very smart women around me. And I was very lucky to see that, and see that you could learn, and that I could learn, and that I could be successful if I just paid attention and got in and did the work.
That's really what it comes down to, is we have to do the work, no matter woman or man,
Yeah.
in order to succeed, in order to really to get anywhere, we do have to put in the time, put in the work.
There are times when you don't feel like you know much when you're starting out. There's so much to learn, right? I mean, there's so much. And it's reassuring to have examples of what you can be
Mhm.
all around you, having those people be willing to help you.
Now, kind of along the same line of thought, you're in a leadership role. Obviously, you have 14 people that report up to you. How important is it to have women in managerial positions? How important is it to have that representation?
It's very important. Representation matters. I mean, it always matters. It makes you see what's possible. It's one thing to see other women that are in parallel roles to you or next to you, but to see that women can progress in their career if that's what they want, or just to see women all around, to see diversity, to see people that are fulfilling their potential, are finding their fit, whatever that may be, based on what they want, what their skills are, where they are in their experience and career. It is important to see that everyone's represented at all levels and all around.
Obviously, you've networked because you have these women at other positions and in other companies, even within Myers. How important is it to have those contacts, to continue to network and be involved in the community, the larger community, for you professionally and maybe even personally?
So many people are into self-help books or reading books about business or about how you can be a better person, or the 5 a.m. club. You're always looking to improve. You are what you think about. What do you fill your thoughts with? What do you pay attention to? Sometimes with the day-to-day of what your job is, or in the day-to-day of the struggles of just your team, or if you work for a smaller printing company and you don't have access to one of the larger print companies, your resources and who you can feed off of, you may have some really great people that you love working with every day, but it's going to be limited when you're only limiting yourself to getting to know and work with people just in your company, just in your immediate sphere. Keeping those connections, building and feeding those connections, because it's easy to meet someone once or twice and then not feed that, right? Or to have those LinkedIn connections, but you never really like or comment on their post. Trying to reach out and stay and understand networking is a skill. It's something that I need to get better at, that others are really good at, others are learning. It's a skill that we need to learn. We are learning. We need to continue learning because it's so important for that very reason, right? You need to have who you want to be, how you want to be, always top of mind, and understand that you're not in it alone. There's always others that are in it with you. Whatever it is, you can find someone that is in it with you. And the better you network and the better you reach out and understand resources that are available to you, the more reassured you're going to be to deal with things in a positive way. You look at it, you assess, you make a plan, you enact that plan, you feel supported and confident in that decision. You do better, you perform better when you have that support and you have that network. And it's something we can all get better at.
Definitely. And having that sounding board in some instances where you might be making a decision about what's my next career path. You know, do I take this promotion? Do I not take it? Is it really right for me?
Yes.
Other people have been in that same exact position. And to have somebody that you're comfortable with to be able to be your sounding board to help you walk through it is so important.
Yes.
One of the things that I like to do as we're kind of concluding is it's my favorite question to ask.
Sure.
Knowing what you know now, based on all of your experience, you know, how you started as an intern to how you finally made your way as a manager now, what advice would you give yourself if you were just starting out in the industry now?
I think probably what we were just talking about really is go for it. Network, find mentors, learn your stuff, be a sponge. You're going to be confident so much faster, and you're going to grow so much faster if you learn your stuff, learn your product, learn your customer. The faster that you can do that and find those mentors, the faster you'll feel confident to move forward and make good decisions and grow in whatever that means for you, for success, for growth, whatever it is you want. You're going to find your fit faster if you just go for it and learn your stuff and find good mentors to serve as a sounding board.
Now, in terms of learning your stuff, are
Mhm.
there any recommendations you would give to how to do that?
Depending on where you're at, what skill set you bring to the table, that's a little bit harder, but we work here on learning the products that we make, spending time on the floor, getting to know people, making those connections with people in production here, making those connections with other people on your team here, getting to know your customer, visiting the stores, seeing the product in stores, right? We all love that. That's one of our favorite things about our job is we see what we do. We all love
Yes.
that. We're proud of that, right? See it, go see it being made, being produced, visit wherever it is in stores or online or, coming to you, and touch it, feel it, ask questions, be involved, get to know the people all through the process that make that product for you, get to know the equipment. There's often online trainings. There's all kinds of things that come up. Take advantage of them. One thing that I will say, in your career as a young person, don't be so busy doing your job that you don't take opportunities to grow so that you can advance. Take the opportunities to go to the show or to take that course. Make time for it. It will pay dividends in the end. If there's a chance to learn more or to grow, don't feel you're so busy in your day-to-day that you don't make sure that you continue having every learning opportunity that comes up along the way.
Don't cut off those sources for growth, those
Yes,
opportunities for growth.
I see people who are so busy doing their job because they're so busy in the day-to-day and keeping people happy. We're people pleasers, especially in my role, right? With account management and customer service, we're people pleasers. We're trying to please our company. We're trying to please our customer. Sometimes the person that we neglect is ourselves and our
Yes.
own path and our own opportunity to grow. And that's where having a good mentor or hopefully a good manager or someone that can help keep you growing and doing the things that you need to do for your career to keep you doing that too.
Because if you don't, then do you get stuck? Do you get stuck in that rut? Do you then get apathetic about what you're doing and there's no longer the excitement that you maybe once had?
Yes. Yes. Don't you come back from anything that you've learned so much more excited
Mm-hmm.
and ready to apply it and ready to grow? It's just, that would be something that I would encourage anyone at any point in their career, young, mid, late, always keep learning, find a way to be excited, bring something new to the table anytime
We're
you
all going
can.
to keep growing. We're all going to keep learning.
Mhm.
That's how the industry is going to continue to change and evolve and grow.
And that's what keeps me going home, and telling my kids, guess what I did today?
Uh-huh. Exactly. Well, Amy, it was an absolute pleasure to chat with you today. I thank you so much again for joining me today.
Thank you. It was nice. Thanks. I appreciate the opportunity.